Hey YouTube, it's David. It's been a while since I've posted a video, and I want to show you a real cool addition I've put on the boat, and it's already installed. I did it myself through trial and error, so I didn't make the video as I was assembling this, but this video is going to show you how I put that all together if you choose to do it yourself. So I have an anniversary model. I have a 2018 520 limited edition, and it is a Ranger. And so what I'm talking about is you can buy this waste can or where the second console should go. But I'm going to tell you how I made this and what the use is for how I'm going to use it. So I had been using the center rod locker for the storage of rods, and I had most of my plastics and everything on the side. And if you're like me, it's probably about 3 rows of the Academy Sports that I carry in the boat. So I'm going to give you a quick look at what this project allowed me to free up space. So with the amount of plastics, I'm in Central Florida, I had this compartment chock full of plastics. And this project entirely freed up this compartment. So my hard baits I keep over here, and I have relocated my my soft plastics into the center console. So I have these storage boxes. You can get these online at Amazon, but where I got the majority of these are from Harbor Freight Tools. I originally bought them for these side locations because they fit perfectly. This is where I kept the majority of my rods. And with the amount of plastics in the side and all of these over in this compartment, I had a list, obviously, to the starboard side or the driver's side of the boat. So what I decided to do was transition all of my rods to the port side of the boat or the left side. The only problem is if you're going to put, and it'll hold up to 20 rods, if you're going to put 20 rods there, you're going to have rod socks. And so I'm going to walk you through the journey of what to do with 20 rod socks. I think 10 at any time would be the max I would put in there because I'd never have 20 rods on the deck of the boat. And so I'm going to walk you through how I assembled this. I did myself. And so there is a version of this you can get out there. So just to give you a close up, I bought these 2 hinges off of Amazon. I kept my kick plates. And the most important thing about this project, I never drilled into fiberglass. And so I'm going to show you how we did that. So the first thing I did is I took a template of what that space would look like with a piece of cardboard. And so I cut it and trimmed it and got it. And so roughly it's about 22 inches across the bottom. You have a tapering edge over on the side. And so I figured I could use cardboard to continually get the template of exactly what I wanted. And so there's a textured starboard that Ranger puts here that they used a router to put their emblem in. I painted that emblem or that routered area with blue paint if you're wondering how that occurred. But you can see down in there. So one of the things to anchor this is I used the original 6 holes for each one of the kick plates that Ranger puts in. And you can see these here. And I pulled those out. So that is what holds the bottom starboard in place. And then the top is only held in place by the 3 screws on each hinge on that side. The only new drilling to the boat was this starboard is anchored down to the Ranger hull for where the console would go in 2 different locations, one at the far end and here. And so I drilled 2 new holes into the starboard to accommodate the hinge. So one might ask, how do you line these kick plate holes, screw holes, into this to get it perfectly? And I'm going to tell you how I did that. And so I pulled the kick plates off, and this is before the starboard was applied. We just had fiberglass running down the side all the way down. I pulled these kick plates off, and then you have the 6 holes of where those should screw into. And here's the trick I used that really made it easy. I got some aluminum rivets, and I cut them with a pair of wire cutters. I cut a total of 12 of these, 6 each. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Is by cutting that rivet, I'm able to put that into the vacant hole of where this used to go with a side cut that's fairly sharp. And then what I did is after I had all 6 on each side placed in there, I slowly positioned this cardboard into place, and I simply put pressure on it, and it poked through the cardboard. After I did that, after I had the marks from the 6 on each side of where that kick plate went, I went over to here and I drilled through the cardboard, and this is what I ended up doing is I put that template of the cardboard over here, and I drilled 6 sides on this starboard and 6 pilot holes on this side of the starboard. And then once I had those filled in from the cardboard, I actually drilled into the actual starboard. But I'll tell you, to make sure you're on is after you get the 6 holes per side for the kick plate, this chrome kick plate will come off, and I put that on there as a template to be sure I was right. I laid it over the starboard template, and then when I knew I was perfect after I put some pilot holes, I put the I put the actual kick plate on the starboard and drilled it. And so this is the first edition of what I did, but as you'll notice, it has a real shiny gloss to it. And I just didn't like the way it looked because I realized that this starboard is textured. It has a textured feature to it, and it's not glossy and flat. And so I ordered a new piece of starboard, and this is 1/4 inch, as you can see. It's got a little bit of flex to it, but I didn't want a 1/2 inch or larger. So, to get your template on the cardboard, you can do it from scratch, or I put some measurements here for you just to get you in the neighborhood of where you were at. So the bottom section is about 19.5 inches all the way across from corner to corner. The center of the boat has more of a taper, and so you'll have to trial and error, but this just gives you an idea. From the total width on the hull side, the exterior, it's 21 inches from bottom to top. On the top of the starboard or the cardboard template, it's 17.75 inches across. And on this side, as opposed to 21 inches on this side, this tapering elongates to where it's just shy of 22 inches, but that'll give you the starting point, and you can fine trim your cardboard to meet what you have. And so I cut the lid about 11.5 inches up, and this accommodates the actual foot plate. And so what I mean by that is you can see here of where the cut goes for the lid to come up. It's very close, and that's 11.5 inches. And so this is what it looked like on the very first rendition. And so I've got 2 holes here that I put in there for the elastic rope, and then I put a small hole here for just the smallest cupboard pull handle I could find to put down the rope over the actual knob. And then here are the 3 small holes that the hinges went on each side. So this actually was installed in the boat, and I took it out because I did not like the shiny appearance to it. If I can get my thumb under here, I'll show you, is it just lifted up. So coming back to the finished product, I will tell you, no drilling into fiberglass. The only new holes that existed is into this starboard. There's 2 holes on this side of the starboard of existing of their cover over the top of the console, and 2 holes on this side. And then I went to Ace Hardware, got me some, the smallest I could get to fit in to hold this. And this isn't heavy load, but I pulled out the Ranger black screw and put the stainless steel silver across all the side. One of these that comes with the bolt that holds that down is longer than the others, and so you'll need to replace the black screw that Ranger has with a longer stainless if you choose. And then on the hinge that holds the door, I have a smaller diameter. I do not know the size, but it's very, very small. And so again, the only thing that holds the bottom kick plate down is from the existing kick plate screws that come with Ranger. These are the original star bit heads that come from Ranger directly. So you can see those. And then it's hinged. Now you have to make sure that when you do the top out portion of your starboard that you don't go past this, because you need this gap or it'll pinch. And then I actually got some elastic rope and tied a knot on the ends, as you can see, on each side. And that's what I use to fasten it, running at high speeds. But the main reason I built this is, what do you do with 10 rod socks? And about 10 rods is the max I'm going to have up on the deck at any one time. But it has the capacity in the rod locker to hold 20. So I'm going to show you that this storage area has the capacity to hold 10 rod socks. And so on my deck here are 10 rod socks. I'm going to try to do it with one hand and show you, but I'm just going to cram them down in there and show you that while you're fishing, you can put 10 rod socks pretty easily in here. It would be a lot easier, obviously, with 2 hands, and it wants to recoil up. You're probably going to put these in one at a time, but it gives you an idea. Now, you could obviously put anything you want. Plastics, garbage, but it doesn't have a lot of capacity. But if you use these type of nylon rod socks, there you go, man. Your deck is clear. You might have 10 rods up there. If I decide to take 1 rod off the front deck, maybe I'm fishing a buzzbait or a topwater in the morning, I want to put that rod away. I get in here and I pull the 1 rod sock out of there. I put that rod in the locker, stuff everything back in there, and I'm good to go. And again, it's a little difficult trying to film it and show you with one hand, but you get the gist of it. And I could put more than 10 in there, but that's what I did. So if you got any questions, post them in the comments on that. But it really looks good with this textured. Again, this is the second version, and it has the textured. It's a little bit shinier than this flat black finish, but it's not reflective. This original door that I made was reflective, and I just didn't like the way it looked. As you can see, the shine and the reflection of me in the video, you don't have that with this one. And so I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and it keeps the rod socks from being crammed down into the rod locker on other rods, and it's a dead space that's now functional. So I hope that helps. Tight lines. Thanks.